Welcome to Bonafide HPP, a podcast designed to educate and support the families and caregivers of those affected by hypophosphatasia. As a mother and caregiver, host Deborah Fowler has discussions about this rare genetic bone disease with people from around the world. Join Deborah now as she speaks with this week's guest.
Hi, I'm Cindy Reasor. I'm the project coordinator for Soft Bones, as well as a patient, caregiver, and advocate. I'm sitting in for Deborah Fowler today. Today's guest is Sue. Sue is an HPP patient and an advocate for hypophosphatasia. Sue is the patient liaison for Soft Bones as well. Thank you so much for joining me today and agreeing to openly share your story with the world. So please tell our listeners about your relation to HPP and a little bit about the work you do with Soft Bones.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue. I have HPP, and for many years, I was misdiagnosed with osteogenesis imperfecta. As the conditions are similar to HPP, it was never thought that it was important to know which one I actually had. Throughout my life, I faced numerous fractures and several surgeries as part of my journey with HPP. I've been with Soft Bones team since the early days, working as the patient liaison. In the role, I connect with patients to vital resources, help them find knowledgeable doctors, offer personal support, and guide them in managing the challenges of living with HPP. I'm also one of the Southwest region leads, where I focus on patients' engagements throughout our online forums, Zoom sessions, and in-person meetings. I work closely with the community to ensure they feel supported and empowered, helping them navigate their HPP journeys.
What do you do in your spare time?
That's a good one, Cindy. I enjoy gardening and crafting in my free time when weather permits. Also, in the evenings, I like to work on my crochet projects while I watch the Food Channel. During the day, when time permits, I work on my graphic art pencil drawings for fun. In between, I help take care of my mother, who's going to be 95 years old. She needs a bit of assistance with daily tasks, basically getting lunch out of the fridge and getting her cup of tea when she needs it, and mostly using the remote to get onto Netflix to watch her favorite shows. I also sign up with watching different webinars from any topics that are related to low alkaline phosphorus to osteoporosis, plus reading new published papers. I also volunteer with organizations related to HPP and participate in research studies.
That sounds like a lot. I know your journey started when you were just a baby, but let's jump forward to when you were actually diagnosed with HPP. Tell us a little bit about how you were actually diagnosed.
Sure. In 2004 through 2011, I was having orthopedic surgeries, mostly replacing the old hardware about every year. During this time, it was noticed that my alkaline phosphatase levels were dropping lower and lower. Eventually, I was told to see a knowledgeable metabolic endocrinologist in my town, and he ordered genetic testing. The results confirmed that I had 2 mutations for hypophosphatasia and 1 variant of unknown significance for osteogenesis imperfecta. Despite these findings, my condition continued to degenerate, and I faced more surgeries, and fractures were happening more frequently. At about 55 years old, the endocrinologist contacted a pharmaceutical company with the possible treatment for HPP. I had broken my arm and had it rotted in the year before, and it was still at 6 months later, it still was not healed. Once I was able to get on the trial for the treatment, it completely healed in 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
At this point, there were only 3 others in my age trial. I didn't have to travel for this trial to a special center. My doctor traveled for the training, and I was able to take the injections and be in the trial in my own hometown. Since the drug was so new, I spent a lot of time the first month at the doctor's office when I was getting my injections to watch for reactions. I did experience some color changes in my vision, fast heartbeat, but other than that, I was fine. There was no respiratory issues, and no other major reactions. We watched my blood tests very closely over the next few months, and everything was stable and improving.
Wow. So after you had been on treatment for a little while, what changes did you start noticing?
The first thing I noticed is, of course, I stopped fracturing when I sneezed, and my sleep improved, then slowly experienced good changes in every daily activity I was doing. I had more energy, more stamina to do things. And with this extra stamina, I attended my first national patient meeting in Orlando, where I met with my very first fellow HPP patient. And can you guess who that was? Cindy.
Oh,
I, I remember one day out of the blue, I bent over to tie my shoes without needing my crutches. My sister was in shock because I just did it. Normally, I would have had to held onto something for balance, or I would have done a somersault. Also, my physical therapist started noticing improvements in me. And he asked, what am I doing different than I haven't done over the last 10 years with him? Did I change my diet? Did I change daily habits? I wasn't allowed to tell outside the family I was on treatment so that they could get an honest observation from the medical staff after they were told that I was on treatment. So soon I was going upstairs without crutches, lifting 15 pounds, and doing my 6-minute walk test. I completed 3 laps slowly before Strensic. The next year, I walked 4 minutes and 20 seconds with more speed and balance. After 3 years on PT, I wasn't using my crutches at all. I could walk around the PT room on my own. I had good balance. Yes, I waddled. I had the HPP waddled, but this was the first time I was been able to do that since I was 10 years old. Nowadays, I get through small stores and I can walk about 2/3 the way through a big Walmart store. Then I need my sister to go get the scooter. 6 years in, my vertebrae have doubled in height. My ribs show up clearly on x-rays, and there were no more fracture lines on the skeleton survey that could be seen. I was even able to go off oxygen at night because of the great improvement in my breathing ability.
that's some major improvements. As you started noticing the improvements, how did your life and quality of life change for the better?
Well, it turned out even better than I could imagine. With the stamina and the muscle strength I gained, I started volunteering in my community, teaching seniors how to use technology. That often meant crawling around under their desks to set up connections and to help them install Wi-Fi in their homes so that they could use their tablets. I was moving around so well that I was officially dismissed from physical therapy for the first time in 50 years. Up to that point, I went twice a week since I was at 6 years old. Since I was 6 years old, that's a long time of physical therapy to keep me moving and out of a wheelchair. With this new freedom, I started traveling more with my family and doing advocacy outside my states.
So were there any negative things that happened after starting treatment?
Yes, there was a period where my pain did get worse for a while. I experienced increased bone and muscle pain along with joint pain from the CPPD crystals inside my joints. That should be expected though, as the body and the skeleton was waking up and starting to mineralize bones and heal fractures for the first time ever. It's something many adults go through before seeing the improvement, but it was nothing that I couldn't handle.
Is there anyone else in your family affected by the HPP? I know you had 2 mutations, so both of your parents were carriers?
Yes, both of my parents were carriers, and my sister, we were all diagnosed in 1960. How, we're not sure, but that they did diagnose it back then. My dad had, his mutation mostly did joint problems. He stood all day at an architect's desk and never thought much of it. He thought the pain was just because he stood all day and bent over a desk. My mom had quite a few issues with her spine early in life, and then her shoulders deteriorated. My sister was very mild in the beginning, and had hypermobility and lots of dental issues. But as she got older, she had more frequent sprains, muscles, and joint issues. And now that she's a senior citizen, her spine is degenerating faster than expected. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. She's catching up to me, basically.
Yeah.
She's actually following my mom's journey with HPP, which is very strange as she has my dad's mutation.
Oh,
So you
wow.
can see how different the mutations change in each person. After years of being a medical assistant and standing for 12 hours a day, her knees are bone on bone, and she needs to have a knee replacement, which she's not in the mood for yet. We are all affected, but you can see how different in every case we are. They're milder than I am, but that doesn't mean that their pain isn't bothering them or disrupting their daily life.
So is there anything else you would want the world to know about HPP?
Yes, I want to remind everyone, especially those diagnosed with HPP, not to let the disease define you. Yes, there will be many doctor's appointments and new symptoms popping up when you least expect it. But if you focus on treating those symptoms without dwelling on them, you can still have a fulfilling life. Do the things you love. Maybe you have to do them at a different pace or a different way, but still do them. And do them with a smile. A smile and a laugh each day can change your mental outlook and keep you on the brighter side of that dangerous rabbit hole to fall down into when you have a rare disease. Take 10 minutes a day for self-pity, then tell yourself, improvise, adapt, and overcome, and have a great day.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. All of our HPP journeys are so unique, yet we can find so many similar things in many ways too. So by sharing our stories, it really helps other patients relate and know that they are not alone. And that is it for today's podcast. You have been listening to Bonafide HPP, the podcast of Soft Bones, the U.S. Hypophosphatasia Foundation.
This has been a production of Bonafide HPP, the official podcast of Soft Bones, the U.S. Hypophosphatasia Foundation. For more information, you can go to www.softbones.org, or to recommend a guest to be featured on Bonafide HPP, email us at info@softbones.org.